Hey, everybody, I'm Jay.
And I'm Keith. And coming up on the show today, we've got news about people stealing catalytic converters.
Ooh, and also we're going to talk a little bit about a zombie apocalypse that was predicted for 2021. Will you be prepared?
Scary.
Oh, nice.
I didn't even practice that.
That's great.
Yeah, so there's some of that. If you don't know what that means, you haven't been listening to the show, so we'll catch you up.
Yeah, definitely. And then we're going to be talking about dang old NASCAR. Is it back? Is it really back? Or is it not? All that coming up on today's show. Sunday. Hey, Keith, how's it going over there?
Sup, man?
How you doing? Get that chew in, man. Yeah, so it's got, as you heard in the beginning of the show, we got some interesting topics to talk about today. Keith, how are you doing, man?
What's up, everybody?
Let's talk about what's happened to you recently. You care to divulge that information?
I mean, that could go a lot of different directions. Can you be more specific?
Like shot in the arm or something like that.
So
why don't we tell? Let's tell people about it. I think we should. Go.
Okay. So, I guess I probably ought to. Well, I can't do anything in 10 seconds. So I'll give you the backstory for those of you that don't know. I am. I guess what's referred to as a COVID long hauler. So the theme of Actually, this is going to be a theme of this program because this all started right at about a year ago.
Yes, it
when
did.
We were at Disney World in late February in Florida, and so I got pretty sick. Actually, the whole family did. My son, it was kind of just a day or two, and he was fine. But pretty sure that's where we picked it up. And that was before. You have to remember that was before testing was available. That was before the shutdowns happened. That was before really anybody was. There was no masking up. Nobody was, taking it seriously.
Yep.
So I, as a perfectly healthy...
nobody had any clue as to what we were up against back then.
And I've been, active my whole life. Like, I've done lots of foot races and biking and triathlon and, always doing outdoor stuff and sports. And, so I'm one of those guys that whenever I go in... for a doctor's appointment of any sort, and they take the vitals, they look at me kind of like, like, you look 18 kind of thing. So there's people that have had this long haul situation way worse than me, but for me it was pulmonary. So I couldn't oxygenate like I normally would. I would do things like I would climb the stairs, and I'd be out of breath. I'd pull start my, trimmer, weed eater, and I'd be out of breath, and I'd have to sit down. Went out on a 2-mile run and had to, call my wife to come get me. And that's the last time I couldn't, I don't know in my whole life if I have never been able to finish a 2-mile run. I mean, maybe like in 3rd grade, it's just one of those things that I've just done my whole life. For way further distance than that.
Yeah, you're conditioned. You're a conditioned guy.
Yeah,
I've known that about you ever since I've known you. You've been very active.
Track days, which is a pretty physical thing. Okay, so there's no real treatment for that. I mean, they don't know. It's the result of viral activity in your body. So basically, you're just trying to get stronger.
That's right.
So I got this Pfizer shot. It's actually two shots, and I just finished my second shot last week. Got my second one.
Yeah.
And it's just some weird side effects. Like, I'd definitely do it again, but
Now,
it's
which
like
version did you get, Keith?
the Pfizer.
The Pfizer, you said? I missed
yeah.
that. Sorry, I missed that. Yeah. Sorry.
So, stuff like some people like headaches. I didn't really have headaches real bad, but like I told you, Jay, I made sure to medicate in advance.
Yeah.
It happened on a Friday.
Do you have like a little brain fog thing going on by chance with it?
No, none of that. I mean, I'm extremely busy these days, so anything that you may pick up on, that's just me being busy. But just completely lost my appetite. Like, it's going on like 3 or 4 days now, and like difficulty sleeping, and
Sure.
wake up like the sheets are soaking wet, sweating real bad.
Yeah. See, I had those sweats, man, when I had COVID.
Yeah, so you have some of the same symptoms that you would have in,
So I had headache. I had
No, I can still smell.
Yeah, see, there you go.
Yeah.
I had headache, I had the sweats, the super fatigue, and joint pain like crazy. As a matter of fact, I'm still experiencing some joint pain, and it's been 5 months since the onset of the symptoms when I had it. So I didn't have the long hauler side of it that you've experienced. Now, my wife, on the other hand, she's experienced a little bit of that. But this just goes to show you how important it is to get vaccinated, because it affects so many people in so many different ways that you're really, it's a crapshoot and a gamble.
Well, and oh boy, here we go. I try to stay out of, some controversy on this show is fun. And I know I don't understand why, but I know this is a little bit of a political topic to people. I don't understand that. It's a health, it's a medical issue. So I would just say to all of you out there that are like, well, name one person that you know that got sick and died. I'm your guy.
Oh, man.
And I can take out any of you in a foot race to this day with half a lung. I am that healthy. And I am still, to this day, it's been a real challenge for me to...
Well, I know that to be true.
So all you people that think this is like some made-up whatever...
Oh, it's not.
I'm telling you right now, it's not.
We are two individuals that are very close, have known each other for a long time. I love that, man. Have known each other for a long time. We know each other's physical well-being and habits and those sorts of things.
No pre-existing conditions.
Nothing. And see, you were affected in a different manner than I was from it.
Yeah.
And now, yes, there's a bit of an age difference. Not that much. I mean, we've got what, like 10 years between us or something?
Sure. Yeah.
Yeah, we're going to go there. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. And I'm not, let's not say who's on the upper end of that, but anyway. But just all Keith and I are trying to do is just kind of basically give you guys, the facts from two individuals who have had it.
It is not just exclusively to old people. I mean,
no, it's not. It's not, and it affects people differently, and that's the thing. My sister and brother-in-law right now have been struggling with it for well over a month.
Yeah, so and look, people are hesitant to get the vaccine, and there's some valid reasons for that. And there's a lot of talk about people in healthcare that are, holding off because they're not sure. And look, I get it. I do not claim to be a medical expert. I don't know anything other than I find the smartest medical professionals that I can find. And I ask them my questions, right? Doctors,
absolutely.
whoever I can access that I respect and, is respected in the industry, and I ask, right? And so for me, it came down to this. The risk of side effects of the vaccine were way less than the risks of not getting vaccinated for somebody like me who's already suffered from respiratory issues and pulmonary issues as a result of this. And there's, if you can get it again, and, I could be down and out. So,
yeah. And there have been those cases where people have had it and they've gotten through it. And then the second time they've had it, in some cases, people have died the second round. And that's the concern that people should
Yep.
have, because even though you've had it, depending on how your body reacts to it and whether or not you have enough antibodies produced, some people don't. And that's the thing. And so it's a kind of an unknown science at this point.
Look,
the only science we have is what we've dealt with in the past and what we've seen to work, and that's why we're following that.
I would just ask you guys to do two simple things here. Look, I understand, there's this tendency to make this a political argument. Please just consider others. Be considerate of others. Please remember the golden rule, right? Not everyone has a political opinion on this that is affected by it. I am probably one of those people. I'm just trying to, not cause any more problems and stay healthy. And number two, don't make the blind assumption that because you can't see it and it isn't happening to you, it isn't real. Okay, I'm not. I don't know how accurate the numbers are. I'm not getting into any of that. I'm not trying to sell. I'm just saying that whatever you believe, whatever stance you have, just please don't assume that because it hasn't happened to you or that it didn't affect you badly, it doesn't.
Right.
It doesn't affect others. That's it.
That's it. I personally am happy.
Remember the golden rule.
Yes. Absolutely. Yeah. There you go. Very simple, right? And I'm really glad that you got your vaccine. I'm getting close to being able to get mine. What that means for Keith and I, it means that we will be able to travel together. We'll be able to be with each other in person and do some live events and bring you guys some great content, which is something that we both enjoy tremendously doing. So we're looking forward to that. And on that note, this was not brought up in the opener, Keith, but I wanted to bring this up, that this was just announced. This is hot off the press. SEMA, and in conjunction with PRI, the Performance Racing Industry Show, they announced new initiative to return to an in-person trade show this year. They're looking... a return to Indianapolis for the annual PRI trade show. An all-new membership drive is launching next week, and a 2.0 version of the renowned PRI Road Tour are all part of the performance racing industry's plans for an unprecedented year. Their mission is to build, promote, and to protect the racing community, which we all want to see secured. This year's trade show, and if we can get all vaccinated and we can get there, it looks like the trade show is going to happen December 9 through 11 at the Indiana Convention Center in downtown Indianapolis, Indiana. It's a great show.
Here's a question that I've got. Now, this is probably, a podcast topic for another day. But it does tie into this news article, and I want to just ask this question, perhaps rhetorically, okay? So recently the CDC came out, you and I talked about this, Jay, like off the air, that after 2 weeks after your final dose of the vaccine, you're totally fine to be indoors, I think they just used the term indoors, unmasked with other fully vaccinated people. The problem that I see happening here is like again, for me, and we just talked about, for those of you that are just joining this segment, I'm basically, I guess you would refer to me as a COVID long hauler, and if you don't know what that is, go look it up, and you'll
figure it out.
Yeah,
yep.
It quickly.
Yep.
So, so how do you determine if you're going to do these events? Major League Baseball just came out like last week and said, hey, everybody, we're going to resume to in-person attendance. So if you're vaccinated, you don't pose a risk to others, and I think they have the data now that says that you can't transmit it and you can't carry it and all that.
Right.
Okay, well, and that's great. But you can't, how are you going to test for that? Because you can't force people. What do they do? They have to show you their vaccination card before you allowed them to come in the door?
Well, there has been talks of that, Keith, to have sort of an international vaccination card out there.
But there's already so many vaccines been given out, and like I did get a card, But
right?
like I scanned it and then threw it away. Like I have a digital copy of it.
Yeah, I mean, it remains to be seen yet. And, of course, there's going to be the argument of invasion of privacy in that regard.
Which is fair. And you can't force people.
Fair.
Okay, fine. But and again, not trying to stir up trouble here, not trying to make this a political argument. That is fine. It is your right to have your privacy and your freedom and all that. Good for you. That is a business, and it is their right to tell you. How about this one? Remember this sign that we used to put, called it the jackass rule at the parts counter, where you hang it up behind the counter?
Yeah.
You know this one? We reserve the right to refuse service to anyone.
Right.
For any reason.
For any reason.
Yep. So you don't have to tell me, and I don't have to let you in the door. Bye-bye. Right? I mean, it's fair.
Well, it's going to be that fair, and it should have to be that fair and that simple, and that's it.
So,
I mean, if you want to get through life,
SEMA cannot require people to show their. I mean, what is the way through this?
I don't know. I mean, I think that now I will say this, that in our area here, we've already had several of the annual events that actually don't occur until midsummer, already canceled for this year. And I think that is a wise decision. I know it sucks for a lot of the vendors and the businesses that are around here, but I think that nobody has a crystal ball to know what this is going to be like. Even in 4 months down the road, if we're all vaccinated by the end of this year, then we're not.
Thing. And see, there all this data that they're releasing from the CDC talks about vaccinated people being in the same room with other vaccinated people. Okay, well, that's not a realistic scenario ever.
That's right. And remember, these vaccines are not, I think that most of them are 100% or at least 95 to 98%
against the known strains, but then if we start getting into mutations and all that, and that's kind of freaking me out a little bit.
And
so, yeah.
That is why they want everybody to get vaccinated, so to kind of hurry up and kind of curb this thing from evolving into that next strain. And it's going to happen. But if we can all get vaccinated, I think it's going to help that.
I will tell you this. Let's see here. 5 days in from my last dose now. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Let me do some quick days of the week math here.
Right.
Carry the 2, 9, 3, multiply by 4. Yeah. Okay. 5 days from my 5 full days now from my final shot. I have not grown a tail.
No antlers. I'm not seeing any antlers.
Things appear to be, returning to normal for me before the shot. Like normal as in still dealing with the same, kind of COVID long haul stuff, but not any really massive side effects from the shot. So,
right.
Way to totally like drop a, pull the pin on the grenade right at the beginning of the show, Jay. And
hey, man, I think that we need to talk about it. And just to kind of give you guys, we're humans too, man. We're part of this. We're part of this life cycle as well, and I hope that our life experiences in some way, shape, or form can assist you in making a decision or save your life. I don't know. I mean, I'm just going off of what has happened to me, what has happened to Keith, what is happening to Keith, and what is happening to a lot of people around the world. And we just want to share our story with our audience. And hopefully that has some positive impact on you. Just that's what our goal is with our podcast anyway, is to have some sort of positive impact on anyone anyway. So I wanted to, number one reason, because obviously we're friends, and I want you around for a while, pal.
Thanks.
So
man.
There you go. Yeah. So glad you're okay. I see no antlers, no tails or anything, or no third eye. So you're good to go. So you can see clearly. Let's get into the let's talk about the catalytic converter situations that we have going on here, man. Live from the news desk. Man, can we get James Brown? I want James. Do you have a James Brown? Hi. Too hot for the hot tub.
We could, yeah, I could see what I can round up.
Hi.
For sure.
Yeah. So, who knew, man? you've heard of air conditioning, like copper and stuff, being removed off of these huge commercial AC units, even some residential.
It's
units
interesting
as well.
that you mentioned that, and I want to come back to that at the end of this segment.
It's the same. It's the same situation, but now it's you may need to put a padlock on your catalytic converter, man.
Okay, so for those of you that this is where I appeal to the layman in our audience. So for those of you that first of all,
you have good practice because you talk to me all the time. So there you go.
It's the opposite. So I have to sometimes I translate for Jay. So for those of you that are new to the program, thank you so much. Welcome. Right? If you have not yet found us on YouTube, go over to youtube.com/Parts Counter Gurus.
Parts Counter Gurus. That's it.
With an S. And hit the subscribe button. That means a great deal to us. If you ring the bell, you will be notified when any new content gets released. Yep. And so Jay has a lot more automotive mechanical experience than I do. Catalytic converters are, I would say probably in the 80s, right? It was their sort of
late 70s, and 80s, yes.
But when did the mandate took effect in the 80s, right?
It was in the 80s. It was in the early OBD timeline, yes.
And so the purpose of a catalytic converter, basically, just to keep this simple, is it scrubs your exhaust. It scrubs the exhaust coming out of the engine to clean it, to make it more environmentally friendly.
It's your car's washing machine. It's your emission washing machine.
I remember the old... you could always tell when there was a problem in that system, whether it was a bad oxygen sensor or whatever, because it smelled like your car farted, man. I mean...
Well, not only that, though, but it would start knocking. You would get some knock going on because of the back pressure on the engine, and a lot of weird things would go on.
So it's part of your exhaust system, okay? And if any car basically that has been manufactured since the mid 80s has been required by law to have those on them here in the United States, and so it's got a lot of like precious metal. There's a lot of magic going on in that Catco to make that that scrubbing of your exhaust what it is. So there's some expensive metals in there, right?
Yeah, which happen to be the catalyst to make this work, and that's why they're so important with inside the catalytic converter. Basically, these noble alloys, which are very precious alloys, are known for their resistance against corrosion, acidic issues.
Noble alloys? You mean like Sir Sean Connery, Sir Roger Moore?
Absolutely, man.
Oh no, wait,
Absolutely.
Sorry, that's a whole different. Okay. I've been watching the Bond series on box set, man. I can't help it.
Oh man, wow!
I'm halfway through Thunderball last night.
I need to watch some Bond. But yeah, it's basically they trigger a chemical reaction without being affected themselves, and they aid in that process to reduce the emissions coming out of the tailpipe. So they basically scrub the emissions from that point back, and that works with in order for all that to work. And to kind of help that be more efficient as well, you've got all these other sensors in place, like your O2 sensors, and all these other sensors that the OBD2 system is monitoring. And we've talked about OBD. You guys know what it is.
So there's before and after the catalytic converter, there's sensors in your exhaust, and they measure different, like a lot of it's oxygen, but they measure different amounts of particulates in that exhaust to make sure that it's up to not up to code. It's emissions friendly. It's up to the standard, right?
Yeah, it measures the amount of NOx, I think, coming out of the back end of the pipe, and that's
so people are ripping these things off. So what details do you have on how that's happening and why and on what?
Yeah, well, the uptick on that is because of I personally feel it's exactly what happened back in 2008. If you remember, back in 2008, we had a lot of people were ripping AC units off of the copper.
Not just theft of like metal from cars, but like new home construction.
Home construction. I mean, going in and just like ripping these, not just taking the whole unit, just ripping the copper out and moving on, which basically it's ruined at that point, so it has to be replaced.
Yeah.
But we're in a time right now where people are pretty desperate. with the pandemic, where people have lost their jobs.
Yep.
And so there's a lot of this theft going on. And obviously, there's vehicles out there that are more susceptible to that happening because of ground clearance, how it may be mounted, and those sorts of things. And I think we may have a website that we can put up on our website, as mentioned on the podcast, a link that will tell you which cars are more susceptible and who should keep their eye on it. But people are just basically going in and they're cutting the catalytic converter completely out. They just little saw, cut the pipes, boom, you're out, and they go cash that in at a scrapyard. And I had pulled up. Let's see. Here's what some of these metals are worth right now. So exotic catalytic converters, like exotic car catalytic converters, foreign cars, like say your BMWs, your Mini Coopers, your FJ, applications like that tend to have higher amounts of the catalytic converters are more effective and they're a lot better, in my opinion.
And it's easy to get under my FJ too.
And exactly.
Super,
right. Oh, hey everybody, Keith doesn't have an FJ. You don't want his converter.
Right.
Anyway, what scrapyards are getting, I found this right now, man. They're getting anywhere between $500 and $800 for a catalytic converter at the scrapyard.
So I have two thoughts on this. I actually have, two. We'll keep it to two. Okay.
Okay.
So first of all, also from the 80s, do you remember the whole protected by Viper? Please step away from the vehicle.
Oh yeah, the alarms. Yeah, the alarm system, which you don't see anymore.
You see that coming back now. Well, it was noise pollution, but I see that coming back now. Please step away from the automobile. You have 5 seconds, right? Or some sort of, right?
Yeah, some of them had like shock features on them, didn't they? Where you could it could shock you, like a low voltage shock.
Yeah, whatever, man. I see an uptick if theft of car parts goes up. People are going to, the sale of security systems will also probably go up. The other thing that I mentioned in the beginning, I wanted to come back to was what typically happens when you start to have theft during difficult economic times, and a lot of it's around precious metals, is there will be regulation that's imposed where the salvage yards will have to require, hey, show me a copy of your driver's license, or I need to see a copy of your, mechanic. Like, I need a mechanic's ID. I need something that says that you are certified and work in an industry that you should be doing this as part of your day job in removing these things, right? And I the problem with that is, and I ran into this personally, I had a water heater at here at the house a few years back, and it was a real high energy efficient model. Like, it used almost no power, and it had, I think it was copper, but it had coils just miles and miles. I mean, not literally miles, but maybe a mile. I mean, it was a lot of coils wrapped around this thing.
In weight, it was worth a lot.
Oh man, that sucker is heavy. And so I had it was a really good one, and I had a guy come out, and there was something wrong with it because it had a lot of electronics on it and stuff. And the guy came out and serviced it, and he goes, "Hey man," he goes, "I just replaced this whole thing, and there's all this. Again, I think it was copper." And he's like, if you like, I can take this and haul it off right now, but I'm going to tell you right now, like, if you just open up that, like, he told me how to open it up and pull out the metals, and it'll take you probably 10 minutes. You can take that down the road here to the salvage yard, and that guy will give you like $100 for it.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, okay, that's yeah.
And
and so I did it, and I showed up at the salvage yard, and the guy goes, "Let me see your HVAC license."
Yeah.
And I went, "I'm a homeowner. This is my item. I own this. It's mine. I busted it up, and I'm bringing you the parts." And he went, "Nah, can't.
Yeah.
Can't pay you for it. I mean,
because
you can leave it here."
They are legally bound to ask for that identification. And the reason why is because the thefts were so high back then. I remember that. And if you were not in the field of repair, then you weren't going to get anything for it because you were an assumed thief.
So you're telling
basically.
me that I can't work on my own stuff then and get, reimbursed for, So you just cut. See, that's the problem in laws like this, and I understand why.
I didn't think about that.
Honest people tend to always end up getting the short end of the stick, to quote my uncle. Like
like a 15% interest rate because people can't keep their hands out of my wallet. Yeah.
Yeah. So
bank
it's
fraud.
like right. It's like I'm the guy that does actually know and enjoys working on my own stuff and like to do it.
And you may have the odd catalytic converter to remove and replace, and you may discover that, hey, there's an abundance of rhodium in it or palladium in it, and I can go down and get some money.
Well, if
and
you
here's
say
why.
vibranium, I'm making a Captain America shield with it and hanging it on the back door.
Well, let me bring into context why I wanted to bring those alloys up, or those precious metals, if you will. There are three that are in a catalytic converter as part that are catalysts, and they're so important to that system. It's palladium and rhodium. What was the other one? I forget. Palladium and rhodium are the two skyrocketed ones. But here, palladium is worth about $500 an ounce 5 years ago. But it's about $2,800 an ounce right now. Rhodium, about 5 years ago, was $640. But it's up to $21,900 an ounce. That's more than gold, man.
Yeah, I think if in a pinch you could also power your DeLorean, the time circuit, with this stuff. So just saying there.
Absolutely, man.
All right, so y'all put your hide your trackers on those catalytic converters because it's coming to a neighborhood near you. I would bet you.
Absolutely. Just be careful of that, guys. Just keep your eye on it. And the price I pulled up some prices. This is what it'll cost you to replace one if it does get ripped off.
Let's have it.
All right. So on my Mini Cooper, the dealer cost on that thing is $1,266 just for the cat itself.
And how long does it take to install it?
It's a 5-hour job on that one. So you think about let's go on the light side, $100 an hour labor charge. That's $500 just to get the thing installed. Now, here's the other side of that. These guys are not going in with a set of tools to remove it. They're coming in with a saw and they're hacking it off. So you're going to have damage from that as well.
Yeah.
So you might as well consider replacing the entire exhaust system. That's what's going to what we call in the industry, like if you did an exhaust job for someone, you get them a price for catalytic converter back to the back of the car. That was a price. But if it was cat forward included, that's an entire exhaust system. That's from the exhaust manifold down that gets replaced. Included in all that, you've got sensors that are involved. So it can be that if to replace the entire exhaust system on my car alone is darn near close to $4,500. That's a significant amount of money. So that's why we wanted to bring this up and what's going on for you guys to really pay attention when you park your vehicle. Maybe some tips on that, Keith, would be to park it in a situation which might make it difficult for somebody to get a jack up underneath it or even get up underneath it, period.
I just park on top of smaller cars. That's my,
Yes, that's it, man.
Monster truck style, right? Like,
absolutely,
good luck getting that
man.
off. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Well, I'm thinking Bigfoot doesn't have a catalytic converter on it, man. But anyway, I don't think that's regulated for those guys. But anyway, so there you have it, man. So, what do we got next, man? We want to talk a little bit about.
Are we doing these in order?
Yes, we are. You're up, man.
Then
you're up again.
So we are turning this into a somewhat regular segment of what do we call it? Our paranormal segment.
Yeah, you can call it that. We call it the conspiracy theory, paranormal.
We just have such a good time with this stuff. I hope that you all enjoy these like we do. But here's my disclaimer for all of those of you out there. I've read your comments where you're like, these guys don't know jack about UFOs. Well, no, duh. It's called The Counter Show.
That's
all
right.
This is not. I'm not. What's his name? George, whoever, the Area 51 guy.
Exactly.
But we do this a little bit in jest, yes?
Because this is the sort of stuff that you would talk about, man. Hey, this is why we are the Parts Counter Gurus. This is why we have the Counter Show. Because people come in and they talk about just everyday life. Hey, man, how's it going? They don't just walk up and say, I just want a part, man. I mean, they're talking about stuff going on. So when you have something like this pop up, you're bound to talk to somebody throughout the day about this particular situation. So there you go.
If you enjoy this or any other of our fine video content, or on the podcast side, you can find us on our website, partscounterguru.com. Click on the podcast tab near the top, and it'll take you to all the, whatever platform you prefer, whatever platform podcasts are given away for free, we're on it.
Just do your thing,
Find
man.
it there. Over on the YouTube side, hit the subscribe button. That's a huge help to us. Tell a friend. We've been seeing tremendous amounts of growth. Thank you all for that. To those of you that are regular listeners and subscribers, couldn't have done it without you. Thank you all, each and every one of you.
And on that YouTube note, those likes are really important to us. So please, anytime you're watching one of our videos, please give us a thumbs up. And then ring that bell so you're notified for the next one coming out. And those subscriptions are important too. So
all right,
definitely important. But those thumbs up are nice.
I can't hold it back anymore. Here comes the zombie discussion. All right. So
yes.
So now, understandably so, we started this podcast talking about, the viral situation in the world today. And so there has been a couple things that have contributed to people's paranoia, I guess, shall we say? So
yes.
Nostradamus, okay, that Nostradamus, right? The one that
from the 16th century.
Yeah,
that Nostradamus.
Not my gamer tag Nostradamus. To those of you that have seen me on Xbox, that's a whole different. Okay, the Nostradamus apparently predicted that 2021 was basically just going to be. There isn't a G-rated version of this that I can think of right now that I couldn't bleep out. It's going to be a real mess. How's that? Okay.
Yes.
So he said, I'm paraphrasing a little bit here, that in 2021, a scientist would create a biological weapon and produce a virus that can turn humankind into zombies. Here is the actual quote from Nostradamus. Few young people, half dead to give a start, dead through spite, he will cause the others to shine, and in an exalted place some great evils to occur. Sad concepts will come to harm each one, temporal dignified, the mass to succeed. Fathers and mothers dead of infinite sorrows, women in mourning, the pestilent she-monster, the great one to be no more, all the world to end. I don't know how you get a zombie apocalypse after that, but people smarter than me have figured it out. Okay.
Well, to the yeah. I mean, it got the CDC's attention.
So the CDC, the same CDC that's posting updates on COVID-19 and advice on COVID-19, and vaccine advice and all that. Has, and we will link to this, go to partscountergurus.com, go to our website. There's a mention on the podcast page. And if you find this episode, what are we going to call this episode?
We're going to call this Dang Old.
Okay.
Is NASCAR back?
Okay.
There you go.
All right. It'll be like upper 80s, I think, episodically, the number of the
88,
episode.
actually, I think is what it is.
Or no, 80, could be 80. All right. Yeah.
Could be 89. Yeah.
Anyway, we'll put a link. So the CDC has on cdc.gov a page dedicated to zombie preparedness. Okay. There is a zombie preparedness blog. There is a zombie preparedness for educators booklet. There's a poster. There's a graphic novel if comics are your thing. I
It's
mean,
crazy.
they are promoting now. A lot of it's just
It's in jest, and we get that. Yeah.
You could take the word zombie out of this, and these are just good preparedness, disaster preparedness.
Thank you. Absolutely.
So what happened
Tornadoes,
in Texas a month
hurricanes,
ago,
floods, whatever. Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Like have some extra food on hand, have some blankets in case you lose power. It's just all that kind of stuff. Now, I might add to that, and I was excited when you mentioned this or we brought this up last week because I've had these for a while because, no surprise there, I'm prepared. But now, look, I'm not... To those of you that, to each their own, okay? So if this is offensive to you or you're, whatever, like just don't, I'm not suggesting that you go out and do anything that you aren't already okay with. I have a shotgun, okay? Just in case, there's a zombie outbreak or, I want to go, bird hunting, what have you, right? So there is a company out there, and now I've owned these for years.
Oh, this is, I can't believe it, man. All right, okay.
Okay, these are shotgun shells. This is Zombie Max. Okay.
Oh man,
they're made by a company called Hornady.
Inside joke. Is that why you made me wait?
No, but I did. They were on my way back. I had them sitting outside the door, and I had them sitting outside the door, and I grabbed them I remembered on the way back. So
gotcha. Yeah.
They are now. Mine's a 12 gauge. Okay, so these are 12 gauge, and they say Zombie Max on them, and they're 2 3/4 shell, double-aught buck. Okay, for those of you that have a shotgun, you know what that means. All right, so that's a pretty that's a pretty heavy hitter. Anyway,
if you're taking out a zombie though, Keith, if you're taking one out with that weapon, what do you have to aim for to know that you got him?
Oh,
how does a zombie die?
Oh, I've watched enough TV shows, and
because you can shoot an arm off and they're still coming at you. You can shoot at something, and they hold the hand out. You blow the hand off, and they're still just coming at you. Yeah.
So, and not to mention, the last Avengers movie where they, the same thing. Like Thor got what's his name, the bad guy in the chest, and he goes, "Man, you should aim for the head. Always aim for the head." So, there's 10 in this box. They call it double-aught Z-shot, because you can't, you can't leave that alone. Yeah. This was, it was just one of those things, Jay. I saw it, and I was like,
I got to have that.
It's a complete waste of money. I'm buying it,
Yeah, well, yeah, but is it? I mean, if Nostradamus predicted it, he's been pretty accurate on a lot of things,
yeah.
So...
Okay, so back to that. So I don't think I can even link to these. Because I'm pretty sure you can't get this stuff.
We're not. We're just telling you about them. We will not have a link on our website for those, but just go buy you some zombie ammo, man.
So, but isn't it interesting to think that possibly because of we just started this show talking about vaccines, right? And what if something gets out of hand, and all of a sudden we're in a Walking Dead situation. Which I stopped watching several years ago, but nonetheless, be prepared, right?
Absolutely, man. You can never...
And if you're going to go with the generator, remember, try to get one that's as quiet as possible.
Yeah, because Keith may be your neighbor.
Or, zombies are drawn to noise. Again, everything I know about zombies I've learned from television. Yeah.
See, there you go. Yeah, I don't know much about zombies, but I better study up apparently. So, obviously, it's a genre of fiction, guys. But the zombie apocalypse, according to Nostradamus, is for real. So be prepared.
I will link to the CDC just so that y'all know we're not pulling your leg on that.
Absolutely,
it is hilarious.
So this next little topic of discussion, can you kind of bring us in to that? Well,
yeah. So
like vocally, can you because I did it for the last one, so I think that it's only fair to me that you attempt this live on the air. So let's have it.
So I got to tell you, a year ago. In fact, Jay, I talked you into. I think I sent you this guy's like music video on YouTube.
I was not happy when I first got it.
At first, you were like, "Man, what the this?" And I went, "Hey, just give it a chance. This is actually like watch it again." And then at some point, I said like, "I guarantee you're not going to be able to just watch this thing once, right?"
Right.
We went to Disney in February of 2020 before the shutdowns, and all the kids running around in the park, waiting in line, spreading COVID to each other. We're singing that, you know. I would just stand at the bus stop and hear.
Well, your exact words to me when you first sent me that song, that video. You said, "You're going to listen to this. Trust me, 5 more times." And I did. I listened to it until I actually started liking the song. So there's a reason why this is a big deal, guys.
Well,
okay.
So we did a podcast on it. So this guy's name is Breland, okay?
Right.
He's a very talented young man, released several independent music videos, kind of started himself up on YouTube. And
That's right.
we podcast. I talked Jay into podcasting on this. Jay, you know, I was like, "Trust me, this guy's going to be a big deal." And sure enough, like that thing goes, you know, that song goes crazy. He's wildly popular now. He's done collaboration with some other big names. He's written for a lot of big names. So
He sure has.
So then GM comes out because the song is called "My Truck," right? And then, and the lyrics in it are, you know, don't touch my truck.
Don't touch my truck. Yeah.
So somebody is listening to us because, again, a year ago, we pointed to this.
I hate to say I told you so.
That's becoming very normal around these parts with the, I hate to tell you, hey, that's why we do what we do. Just keeping you guys on top of it.
So you found this, right? I think.
I did. I think both of us were kind of, I was excited to see it for Breland for number one, and I'll tell you why, because unfortunately, he put this out right at the early onset of the pandemic.
Mm-hmm.
And things were looking pretty bright for him. I even referenced the great Led Zeppelin in that conversation about how well written this was, how well done it was, the parts, how it broke down. There's a bridge portion in it that I really dug where the tempo really kicked in. And it's just a very well done song. And it's clean. It's to the point. It's very attractive to most age groups, I think. So we were really excited about Breland getting out there and being able to go on tour and put himself out there. And then the pandemic hits. And so he never really got to tour on this thing.
Well, now this is, by the way, not his normal genre. I mean, he does work for a lot of different styles.
He
but
does.
This is, you referred to this as trap country,
It's
right?
trap country, yeah.
And
it's
he
trap
even
country.
said, "I wrote it just to see if I could write a country song." So he kind of
Right.
styled it as a country song.
That's it.
And
it's what's cool about it is that when GM approached him, he was probably like right on top of it, and he rewrote some of the lyrics to kind of fit, you know, like mentioning some of the models, the type of truck he was driving, that sort of thing. And the other side to it is the location in which they chose to film. And by the way, this was on TikTok. So if you're not a TikTok fan or user, then you'd have to download the app to go find it. Or you can go to partscountyguru.com and you can go to the mention on the podcast tab up there, and we'll have a link to this particular article there from GM with this TikTok video on it. And I encourage you to watch it because it's very well done. It's really good. And what's really cool is they filmed it mainly in Nashville, Tennessee. And I know, Keith, that it's just an awful city. I know people should be moving out of there and all that kind of stuff. We don't want
it's riddled with crime.
It's just terrible.
It's really a dumpster fire. You guys do not Do not venture here. It's unsafe. We already have zombies walking around here. I mean, it's not like they might be here. They're already here. I mean, there's a good chance you're not going to escape like without, getting bit or, I wouldn't risk it. Best to just stay home. Don't
That's right.
Don't pay us a visit.
But in the video where they filmed this, they filmed some scenes all over the Nashville area. Mm-hmm. But the most shots that you see in the video are from the famous Nashville Fairground Speedway, which we've spoken about in
many
few
times
podcasts
on
many
this program.
times.
And most recently, I think you said that was the track where guys like Darrell Waltrip and Sterling Marlin
and all
teeth.
those guys kind of cut their teeth on that track because years ago, I think it was part of the NASCAR circuit. And just recently we spoke of this, that, Nashville is finally getting a NASCAR race again at the super speedway that they built out just east of there a bit.
Different location. Now, this is kind of an older, they really don't know what to do with it. It's right downtown. It's getting kind of run down. They tried for a while to do some things to bring life back into it, and then the pandemic hit and all these kind of gathering locations were shut down. So it's just been kind of sitting there. So brilliant on the part of whoever, produced this to use that location, because they probably got it, no pun intended, they probably got it for a song. I mean, there's nothing going on there right now.
Right, there isn't nothing going on. As a matter of fact, I think they were supposed to convert it into kind of a mixed use type business and living, and they're going to put some housing in there. So I don't know what's going to happen now. But I
would say, if they're going to do that, if I were the developer, and I'm pulling us a little bit off topic here, but I would be like, you got to leave the track. We're putting go-karts on the track. We're doing something fun with that track. That track stays, okay? Track stays, and we're going to do, this is how we're going to solve. In the old days, when I had roommates, it was, we'd go to the foosball table to resolve arguments or whatever.
Right.
We got to put the track in place somehow. It's got to be, yeah.
That's it. Well, again, good for Breland. Good for this. And I think GM jumped on this because they got to move all those gasoline-powered vehicles out. So just tack on a star, a great songwriter and performer, and hopefully that'll help them move some of those ICE engines out of there, which I think they're still going to be making those things in 2035, but that's just my opinion. So anyway, go set yourself up on a brand new Chevy Silverado and go listen to Breland's My Truck.
I mean, they got him in the Carhartt gear, and they got him riding a mechanical bull, and there's some there's some of that going on. So here we go. We got a wardrobe change going on in real time. Jay just did a wardrobe change. So anyway, it was it's an entertaining little. It's on if you don't have TikTok, you can watch it on the website. I don't have a TikTok account either.
I don't either, but I watched it right on their website, and it's there. I'm watching. I've got the page open right now. So,
is there a strategic reason? Is it like we have two sponsors per show now, and you had to change hats in the middle? Dang
old NASCAR, man.
I'm going to Disney World at the end of the Super Bowl, and you got to change hats or what?
Absolutely, man. I'm talking about a dang old NASCAR, man. Filled up sponsorship. Got sponsorship. Got to pay love. Got to pay love, man. Pay love. Get that paycheck.
I literally watched that happen at Charlotte with Truex Jr.
Right.
When he won the Coca-Cola 600 2 years ago, where he was driving a Toyota, and big Coca-Cola was a big sponsor. He had to change. First of all, when you show up and you hop out of the car, you put the hat on of the car, like Toyota, right?
Right.
And then 30 seconds later, it was a Coca-Cola hat, and then 30 seconds later, it was a Bass Pro hat, and then another, and it. I know we all make fun of Talladega Nights, but there's so much little bits of truth in that movie.
Oh, absolutely, right? There is, man. There absolutely is. And I chose this because of it's John Rich's Big Kenny's Peace, Love, and Happy Hour attire out of Nashville. And it's a trucker hat, in which you see a lot of those floating around the NASCAR circuit. But we Keith and I were talking about it. We don't talk about NASCAR that much. I don't know. The only reason I think that we don't is because it's just hasn't really been that exciting of a thing to talk about in recent years. And I wanted to talk about some of the changes that we saw this year happening, and they're pretty significant, as just to prove that they are fighting for that audience. And with the pandemic hitting in 2020, you took out, it's a spectator sport, man. You fill seats with butts and you're drinking and barbecuing all weekend long, and having a great time. And that is the experience of NASCAR that I enjoy. I don't care for it on television that much.
And it's kind of a weekend party.
It is a weekend party.
It is not just an hour and a half or 2 hour race event on television, or some of them 3 hours. But people go to this and they make it a big event. And and I've done that on some of the motorcycle stuff, like Moto America, MotoGP, where we'll go and we'll be there the whole weekend, right? And so now they run. It's a little bit different because in those series, they run races, like they may run a Saturday race and a Sunday race, and it's the same riders.
Right.
And they'll tally points for the weekend. So, they do it differently. But the point is, there's stuff that goes on at these NASCAR races all weekend.
Yeah, because you've got qualifying that goes on. You've got other little races.
Yeah.
Plus, they'll try to have some like infield stuff for kids.
Just took my F-250 in for service yesterday at the local Ford dealer because I don't have the time to work on it myself. And the guy said we have kids that are about the same age. His is I think 10, mine's 11, and he's got a dirt bike. And I said, well, mine rides, and we started talking about that. And he goes, does he race? And I said, nah, mine's not really into the racing. We do woods riding, and it's just kind of a fun little sport. And he goes, well, let me show you what mine's into. And he pulls out the little cars.
Yes.
They look like a little stock car. I'm gonna get hammered here by the fans. You're gonna correct me on what they're called, but leave it in the comments if you know. But his dad's just building these for him, like, that's their full time. Like, he's just bought a trailer and he's got.
Are they running those on asphalt, concrete?
Yeah, they
or dirt?
do it at the NASCAR races sometimes.
Oh.
I've watched them do it where they'll make a little infield course for them. And
yeah, and see, that's it. And again, so that's kind of the stuff that some people miss out. If you don't go to the event, then you're not going to see those sorts of things. And I've been to enough events like that in my lifetime. But the last major race I went to was the Indianapolis 500. I think it was 2014. Was the last race that I attended.
Okay.
And that's an all-day affair, man. You don't just go there, sit down, watch a race, and move on. You don't.
Right.
It's you're tailgating just like you do at a football game. You've got people that don't have the luxury of having seats in the stands, so they're either on the infield or outside the track where they've got these huge TV screens set up.
Well,
just these big
and they
spreads,
set up merch
man.
like Chevy's there. We made some great contacts with General Motors at the Charlotte one. There's vendor row, and they have all this cool stuff set up. I got to see some pretty interesting Toyota stuff. So now we talked in a very recent podcast about NASCAR coming back to Nashville, and you just mentioned it a few minutes ago.
That's right.
But you're going to take this in a little bit different direction. Yeah,
I want to. Yeah, what I want to do is I want to go down. I'm going to go through the list, and I think you have the same piece there. It's a piece that was written by Hot Cars, peer of ours in the industry.
Yeah, but now, okay. So, do you want to talk first about some of the changes that?
Well, I want to talk about why.
Okay.
Yeah. I want to talk about why. They're down on attendance, and then we're going to get into what they're to show you that they're really working hard to try to get fans back. Okay, so NASCAR took a really big hit over like the last decade, almost to the tune of around 50%. Yeah, less in attendance, man.
And we have
races.
Talked about this before. In fact, right before, so this would have been, I guess, the end of 2019. We talked a little bit about it on our program. And we talked about some of the things that I was at an event and saw they were making some visible changes to try to correct that, but the jury was still out. So, they had been losing fans for a while, and then, what were they doing to try to correct that? Well, now it's sort of it appears that that decline is still happening.
They're in a long decline. Viewership alone dropped 50% in the last 5 years, and they've seen a substantial decline from 12 to 30% from 2012 to 2018, and it's continued to decline even since that last poll was taken.
So when do I get to make my recommendations on how to fix this? Is this can I?
Well, when
can I interview for the president of all
right, here we go. Let's go through the list of things that have aided in the decline of the sport. Okay, or spectators. People watching it or people going to the races. And again, it's not for lack of NASCAR trying to make the experience good, because if you go to a race, if you have the luxury of going to a race, you'll see it's a big deal. Okay, and it's not cheap either. So that's a factor. Price is a factor, but there's a top 10 list of reasons why. Okay, and we're going to go down this list here real quick. So number 10, streaming services that are out there today, okay, and has even grown exponentially since this discussion took place. The challenge is that spectators now have the rise of various streaming services that are available to them, and it keeps people, watching other things other than races, because races are long. I mean, you have to be sitting in the front of the if you're not at the race, you see what I'm saying?
I'm going to call hooey on this, and here's why. Because you have been able to watch baseball games, football games, and NASCAR races on television. You have been able to watch sporting events on TV for decades. Right. So, yes, I understand that people may want to binge watch the Goldbergs on Netflix or whatever, and that's why they're saying that they're not going to the race. That doesn't have anything to do with it. If you're a sports fan, if you're a racing fan, you're going to put down, this season of Outlander or whatever you're into to go. If you're watching Outlander and you're a NASCAR fan, I would love to hear from you. Jay doesn't know what I'm talking about, but those do not mix. So I don't think that. Oh yeah, Netflix, whatever. But no, because
But what ties into that, though, is the aging fan base, okay?
Well, now yes.
That's a big deal, and that's where, you're talking, like, for example, my kids, when they were little, they used to sit right beside me or in my lap while we watched races all day long. But neither one of them have any, they don't have any desire to go to a race. They would rather be doing a number of other things other than that. So I think that NASCAR has got to be able to figure out some way to get the younger fan base involved into what they're doing. And
that is going to tie into not necessarily the age factor, but the generational factor. So I might as well just go ahead and okay. So my belief on this is, the reason your kids, although they're not kids anymore, and the reason a lot of people in the younger generations aren't interested in NASCAR is because they can't relate to it. There's no relationship there. So this whole thing with NASCAR started with potentially a car that you could buy at a dealership, you would see out on the track running races. That isn't true anymore. That stuff is so heavily modified. It is so
all of them look the same. Yep. All of them look the same. They have to be the same. That is by rule and regulation.
So we're running a bunch of, $1 million race cars out there that, even though it might say, Camry on the back, there is nothing Camry about that thing, right? Other than the logo that's painted on it. So how do I connect? That doesn't have any relevance to me. Now you're just competing with every other race circuit, and those cars look a lot cooler. An F1 car looks way cooler than this.
And those alternative motorsports are actually they're not doing bad.
Right.
So maybe NASCAR needs to kind of take a look at
You
what
shot
Formula
yourself
One's
in
doing.
the foot there. So my solution to that is go back to let's do Kia races. Let's put a whole bunch of let's have a Kia circuit and let's put the ones that you could. What's the old saying? Winning on Sunday, selling on Monday. Whatever, right?
Yeah.
Let's make it so that whatever you see win, you can go buy one of. Okay,
right. And as a kid, me growing up, and what made me such a big fan of NASCAR, I mean, not only the fact that I was surrounded by racing most of my life as a kid, with a stepfather who was a drag racer, and then my dad being in the automotive industry and owned quite a few fast cars. I had the luxury of being able to go to NASCAR races as a kid, Cup races as a kid. Back then they were Winston Cup or whatever, and sponsored by cigarette companies. But, one of the big factors is you had a lot of superstars that have retired, and unfortunately some got killed. I mean, Dale Earnhardt Sr., unfortunately, we lost in a terrible accident at Daytona 500. His son, Dale Earnhardt Jr., has retired. Jeff Gordon has retired. Darrell Waltrip has retired. There is no Cale Yarborough. I mean, all of these, these are like well-known names. And there's to me, yes, you got Kevin Harvick, a Kyle Busch, Chase Elliott, who is Bill Elliott's, and there's another one, And you've got the Keselowski's in there. There's a few big names that I recognize, but none of them that I relate to or that I'm shaking my fist at the screen going, come on, boy. Well, none of them do that to me now.
And here's the other thing with this. And look, I got to be careful here because if you're a diehard NASCAR fan, you might take offense to what I'm about to say. But there is a lot of skill required in what they're doing here. So by no means am I, with what I'm about to say, by no means am I trying to take away from that. Their teams, the amount of work those teams, the amount of refinement, the nuances, the attention to detail, the variances in the track, the factors that these guys have to deal with after some piece of debris affects the performance of their automobile, all that takes a tremendous level of skill, okay?
Yes, it does, yes.
That said, this whole thing is stupid. They're racing for 4 hours, and they're just driving in circles, and it's like we could shorten this down to 30 laps and have the same results.
Sure. Yeah, absolutely. I agree. I don't disagree with that. There's ways to get, and we're going to talk about some of those things.
Now,
the attempts that they're making to try
they were like, well, let's make it a road course and let's put turns in there. Okay, yeah, that's a good idea. But if you're going to do that, then don't try to make it so that you can't have. See, the appeal in like Formula One is some of these guys and some of these brands will dominate for years. Like nobody can catch them. Right. I remember when Michael, what was his name, used to drive for Ferrari, had the traumatic
Andretti?
No, Formula One. Traumatic brain injury skiing.
I don't know that I remember the guy's name.
Anyway, yeah, several decades back, but nobody could touch him. Nobody could catch him. He was he was the Michael Jordan of Formula One racing. NASCAR structures these races so that you can't pull ahead. They want to keep every race close. No,
right. Well, it makes it more dangerous too because we have the controversy with the restrictor plate races. People hate them. They're so bunched together at 180 to 200 plus miles an hour. On these super speedways, Daytona, Talladega, whatever. I enjoy those super speedway races, but it is extremely dangerous for these drivers. Now, granted, NASCAR is continuously making upgrades and changes and testing and those sorts of things for driver safety as well as those that are on pit road, those crew members, those people who are putting their lives at risk day to day. NASCAR is very aware of that. And they are trying, their best to make sure that those guys are safe. So while they're bunched up, okay, you got it. Okay, sorry, I didn't know.
He was he was the just heavyweight in Formula One for
right.
Yeah. All right. Sorry.
But and see, so here's the other thing that really kind of got me. I think that I'm probably not the only old school NASCAR fan that says this, is that they've changed the rules.
Yeah.
And the point system so many damn times in here that it's confusing as hell to me, and I don't know, in some cases whether, but last year they were able to do that. I mean, and now this year they can't. It's like the NFL. I mean, the NFL is constantly changing rules and processes and how plays go down, for example, with the 2-point conversion now, and where you kick the extra point from, where the kickoff goes. They change some of those things because of safety, but they want to make the game more exciting for people and maybe take the commercial breaks out of it. And I think that NASCAR needs to really take a little bit from what the NFL has done to basically keep your eye on the ball, the game, the race more, rather than all of these commercial breaks and picture stuff. Man, I don't care about any of that stuff. Just show me the race, man. But the sponsorships are so huge, and that's why I changed my hat in the beginning, man. It's symbolic in a way to the fact that this is what NASCAR has become, is just this one big billboard. And
I'm okay with that. I'm okay with that. It's part of the entertaining. It's part of the entertainment.
It's not okay for me, because I think that you got to have sponsorship. I get it. But how about one sponsor, man? Now
they can't. They've backed themselves into a corner. They can't afford to operate without.
Right. It's so expensive, man. So there's a lot of it's kind of a catch-22 situation that they're in. How can we make this better? Well, now let's talk about some of that stuff, Keith. Okay, so you spoke of the road courses, right? So several years ago, they added the race courses, the road courses in there, and they've stayed steady with just those number of road course races. But they've gone from 3 to now 6, and 6, I think, Cup road course races this year in 2021. And that's up 3. Mm-hmm. So that's going to change the dynamic, because you've got certain teams that fare very well on those types of courses, and you've got teams that do very badly historically on those types of courses. So maybe they're trying to even the field up a little bit with that, which I think is a smart move.
Yeah.
I mean, because you're giving it a little bit more of a Okay,
if you're going for total points in a season, which they are,
right? That's how they do it. You got the stages that they have in place. So I think that helps those drivers that do well on those courses, but are crummy at others. It narrows the gap a little bit, I think, at the end, which makes that playoff picture, that playoff race, which is something else they've instituted. They have a playoff now, which has been in place now, for 5-6 years, maybe longer now?
Yeah, all of this is, again, it's designed to try to keep it competitive and keep it close. And, other sports do this, football has done it. Baseball has done it. Baseball famously, I remember, a couple decades ago, they did the whole every stadium in the majors had to redo their outfield so that the hitter could pick up the ball. Like, the pitchers were so dominating. Remember that they had to remove all the bleacher seats in center field because the pitcher was looking right out at those and he couldn't pick up the baseball.
Right.
Now
it's like the 3-point line in basketball and hoops.
Right. And we see a shift in the other direction as a result of that. I get
absolutely.
it. They're trying to keep it interesting. But I think, NASCAR started as a basically moonshine, running from the police, and in what was it, South Carolina or North Carolina?
Both.
Okay.
South and North. It originated in North Carolina, but South Carolina shares that as well.
So if we're gonna, they've traveled so far from their roots,
right?
And it's trying to be Formula One or trying to be somebody else, that just never ends well, And they have this, loyalty in the South. That's because again, that's where they're born. Now they have tried to reach out in other areas, and they've done fairly well at that. But at some point, you have to take a look at this and go, we need to be us. We need to stop trying to be somebody else, just because somebody else is doing something that works. Just
Right.
because Formula One is doing something that works, or the IndyCar series is doing something that works, you know? I mean,
Right.
we talked about the IndyCar series a few months back, and they were experimenting with automated vehicles, okay? Well, nobody's done that before. So NASCAR, there's your missed opportunity, right?
Right. Yes. Yeah, and the IRL is going to have that races this year. I think they're working on having that fully automated.
I mean, one of the
driverless
things
car
we all love to see, but nobody wants anything bad to happen. But it is fun. Would you agree? It is fun to watch a good crash.
Oh, absolutely.
I mean,
it is,
you're
man.
like,
who did?
Yeah.
When you were a kid, who didn't like the demolition derbies, man? They
Yeah.
were fun. Who doesn't like a good monster truck rally? You just enjoy watching cars get
these
crunched.
guys, I mean, there's fuel all over the track, and there's things are catching fire, and there's smoke coming out. I mean, it's awesome. But you
That's
don't want to
the
see anybody
event.
get hurt. So the way to solve that is have a race that's risky without humans involved, right?
Yeah.
Let those cars out there just run from an AI perspective, and yeah.
Yeah, you can do that for sure, or you can change from the norm that you're used to seeing at specific tracks. So let's go into what NASCAR has got coming up, which I it's fascinating to me that they're doing this here. I think it's great. In case you haven't heard, the Bristol Motor Speedway in Bristol, Tennessee, we call it Thunderdome. It is a fast half mile.
Oh, it's a really small. This is actually, yeah.
Yeah, it's a fast half mile. As a matter of fact, they say it's the fastest half mile on concrete. They just upgraded it. I mean, this thing holds over 150,000 people. It's like this huge bowl. It's super loud.
This is the perfect place to do this because of the size of that.
I think it is, and we bring it up the demolition derby. I think to some degree this could turn into a demolition derby, but as I dug deeper into it, some of the changes they made for it. But NASCAR, they basically unveiled the details on what's going to be happening. But Bristol Motor Speedway is going to be turned into a dirt track date. There will be a dirt track race. It's Sunday, March the 28th. At 3:30 p.m. I think it's going to air on Fox.
Right.
It'll mark the Cups. This is an actual Cup race, guys. This is not a Craftsman Truck Series or Xfinity, anything like that. This is an actual Cup race. It's the first dirt track event since 1970. Now, to give you perspective, the Camping World Truck Series introduced dirt track racing to its schedule in 2013. So it started a 7-year run at El Dorado Speedway in Ohio. So NASCAR paid attention to that. They started the rumors about, wouldn't it be cool to do that? Where can we do it? There's a lot of small tracks around. But they had converted Bristol into a dirt track before. And they thought, well, why don't we do it? Let's have a Cup race there. So it's a completely different animal than your normal race. So the starting lineup format on this thing, each series will have 4 qualifying heats of 15 laps each. The heat field size will depend upon the size of the overall entry list. So if there's 44 cars, there will be 11 cars in each heat race. Only green flag laps will count. No overtime rule will be in effect, but free pass and wave around procedures will remain.
Yeah. So I've seen that. I've been to some dirt races, and they take a high level of skill. Anything can happen, and it is. This is a good move in terms of NASCAR trying to do things to draw people in, because it is not always the team with the best money or the most money that's going to win something like this, Oh,
absolutely not. No, there's some skill in the driving on dirt, and this is going to be interesting. I mean, I had where they can pit, but they can't change tires. There's a number of things that and they'll do this in stages. Let's see, stages. Let's see, 75 end at 75, 150, and 250. Let's see, stage endings for that's the truck series. Where was that at, man? I had the whole. They got into the. That's my bad there on that. Sorry about it. A little messed up there. Do you see that anywhere?
I do not. But
I think I
honest,
got rid of it. But
there is so much chaos breaking loose in my house right now because apparently my son is home from school early. He's got the dog barking, and there's just utter chaos. I'm literally just trying to keep it together right now.
Anyway, just in a nutshell, it's a completely different animal, and I'm excited to see it. And at first when I started reading into this, I'm talking about the pitch of the track, as it's well known that it has very, very steep turns and straightaways, but they will be flattening it out to I think around 18 degrees versus where it's normally on concrete. That track is somewhere in the neighborhood of around 28 to 30 or something like that. They had claimed 36, but I think it's like 28 to 30. But they've leveled it out, so that'll help out tremendously. Basically keeping cars on the track, and that's the whole idea, is to keep them on the track.
Yeah, sorry, man. We're normally so well have this nailed down, and I kind of let you down here. I had I had one job, as they say, and that was to keep the car on the road for you. And I got distracted by what was going on out the window, and I feel like we ended up in the ditch a little bit, but that's all right, man. Sometimes a good crash on the air is entertaining, right, Jay?
Well, absolutely. But what I was trying to find for folks was the tire rules and the pit rules, and I had it up, but I don't have it now. But when we do find that, we'll put it on our mention on the podcast for you guys to take a look at it. I'll make sure that I get that over to Keith so we can get that loaded up. But I think it's exciting for NASCAR. I think that I'm now, this is a race that I will watch, okay?
Yeah.
Granted, I have only watched one race this year, and it was in a rain delay, and that was the Daytona 500. That's all I've watched.
I mean, oh, man, we're just going to run 500 miles, and we're going to, You have shortening attention spans, and part of that is due to the world we live in. You're getting text messages and phone calls and pings and just constant, interruptions, and to expect anybody to be able to sit there and watch something that long, that's that repetitive without change, I just think it's not a good recipe.
Well, we will find out. I am the type of person, as long as I have a beer in my hand, man, I can watch anything. So thank goodness for that. I'm able to sit through a lot of things, and I think it'll be very interesting for me.
Well, I hope it's Busch if you're watching NASCAR.
No, I'm not going to do any Busch, man. No, I'll probably end up having a few Rainiers, but we'll see. So, what else we got, man? I mean, are we just all tapped out on NASCAR? I think that is a wrap for the show this time around. I think so. By the way, 20,000 cubic yards. Lots of dirt.
I want to see how they get it out of there.
That'll be interesting, man. Yeah, that will be interesting, man.
I mean, obviously, it's pretty easy to just drive all those dump trucks in, but removal.
Yeah, removal ought to be fun. It can't just rain away, that's for sure. So, hey, let me take a second to tell everybody about our social media platforms. Hey, guys, first of all, thank you for listening. If you want to follow us on our social media platforms, go to facebook.com/Parts Counter Gurus. Like us, share it with a friend. You can also check us out over on Instagram. We are Instagram.com/The Parts Counter Gurus. Check us out on Twitter. Our Twitter handle is @TheCounterShow, which is what you're listening to right now. You can check out a lot of the video segments of our full audio podcast. We break them up into segments for you guys, for you to kind of pick and choose what you might want to watch over there. It's youtube.com/Parts Counter Gurus. While you're there, please subscribe, ring that bell, and like us. Like the video. The likes help us out tremendously. If you want to talk to us, man, just reach out to us and contact us. Just go to the partscountergurus.com website, and there is a contact us page. You can ask us a question there. There's an ask us a question page. Any of the podcasts you can find on our podcast link on partscountyguru.com as well. And we're on every major platform, including Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google, Stitcher, TuneIn, you name it. We're on every platform out there. If you want to buy, you feel like shopping and you just happen to be on our website, or even if you're not on our website, you can go to our website and hit that Amazon link. And anything that you buy through that Amazon link, it helps us out a little bit. It helps us keep the show going, and we very much appreciate that. We love what we do, but we can't do it without you, so anything will help. So just keep listening, keep liking, keep...
I mean, Ricky Bobby couldn't do it without Wonder Bread. I mean, everybody's got to have a little sponsor, right? I mean...
Yeah, boy, I tell you what. Peace, love, and happy hour, brother. That's right.
Which one of the Bush brothers is it that's got M&Ms? What would he be without M&Ms as a sponsor, right?
That's I think that's Kurt.
Yeah, I think you're right.
Kurt's an M&M. Nothing. He'd be nothing. I got a few choice words for some of them there drivers. They got bad attitudes.
No, you know what? I don't know. I'm stepping into controversy here. Spent some time with his dad. Really liked the guy. Had some great conversations with him.
Yes, and I know this, but man, I tell you what, there is no intimidator on the track anymore. There is none of that. You don't have crybaby Darrell Waltrip. You don't have. I mean, what happened to those? We don't have that anymore. It's just a bunch of names on the track. They don't have. They don't have that star power like that Dale Earnhardt or that Darrell Waltrip, and that's what's missing. They really need to create those superheroes for NASCAR again, I think. That's my point.
Yeah.
I think they're missing superheroes, man.
Well, and again, if you force everybody to be the same, and you force everybody to be... If you just try to keep it close, and you bend and you make the rules, and you legislate to force that closeness in... the outcomes, there isn't going to be a superstar. No one is going to rise above, that middle ground standard. They have to just allow some of these guys to just run away with it for a couple of years. I mean, I just think that's, all right. So I've beat up on that. Yeah.
Yeah. I found the pit stop procedures, by the way. But anyway, if you want to talk about it, here we go. Teams will not be permitted to change tires, add fuel, or work on their vehicles except during the breaks between the stages. Exceptions will be made for vehicles involved in incidents. Teams are not required to pit during stage breaks. Those that elect to stay on the track during stage intermissions will line up ahead of the cars, trucks that pit on the ensuing restart, and there will be no race onto or off pit road using a controlled pit stop procedure similar to the previous format in the Eldora events. There you go. It ought to be interesting, man. That's what I'm telling you. That's why I wanted to share the pit stop procedure. So I'm glad I found that. And go check out the video on the transformation of the track too. That's out there on NASCAR.com. It's called a colossal team effort.
We can link to it.
We can link to it, but yeah, check it out. Anyway, hey man, so glad to have been able to spend the last hour with you.
Yeah, man.
Glad you're headed in the right direction, and looking forward to a good summer ahead of us, man.
I'd like to thank my sponsors.
Yeah, I'd like to thank their peace, love, and happiness, and
all right, everybody, that's enough clowning around, I guess, for the day. That's our show. Thank you all for your subscriptions. Thank you for telling a friend. We do sincerely appreciate it so much. Until next time, that is my counterpart over there, Jay.
Yo.
I'm Keith.
Hey, don't touch my truck, man.
Yep. Coming soon. Jay's going to cover Breland. We'll see how that turns out. Right. Until then, may the power of love overcome love of the power.
Ooh.
Thanks, everybody. We'll see you next time.
Take care, guys. Hey, everybody. I'm Jay.
And I'm Jay. Oh, wait, no. All right, here, just start it over.
Okay. Hey, everybody. Welcome into the podcast. I'm Jay.
See, I can't. I can't
right.
be serious now. All right.
Okay, here we go.
I need a minute. Okay. All right. All right. All right, go ahead.